Welcome to the Real Time with Big Time podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron Easton. You can follow the show on Twitter at Real Time Big Time, and make sure you like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Here we are in episode 2 of the Real Time with Big Time podcast. I'm so excited to get this back rolling. Me and Garrett have had a little conflict in our schedules here, but we're going to get consistent here. This is going to upload tonight, Monday. Um, and we're gonna probably get together for tomorrow, and we're gonna recap Monday Night Football and possibly have our first guest to the show, Jimmy Leonard from the It's Jimmy Leonard podcast. So that should be good. But Garrett, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Brownies are on a bye week, so I couldn't get too mad this week. But other things happened in the league. The Ravens won, which the Brownies needed. Steelers won, which I hated to see because Garrett Gilbert about pulled something out. But it's okay. Stuff happens. It's okay. The Bills look like a real serious contender. I'm really excited to see if they can run with the big dogs in the playoffs because they gave it to the Chiefs, not the Chiefs, the Seahawks yesterday, and I'm really excited for this AFC playoff. To be honest with you.
Yeah, it was a really interesting halfway point for a lot of teams this week.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna get into a couple games, but I mean, first I want to get into some big news that just happened 12 minutes ago as we're recording this podcast. Ian Rappaport reports that the Browns have now officially designated Nick Chubb to return from injured reserve. So that is huge news for the Browns. I know there was Baker Mayfield having to be on the COVID reserve list, but it looks like he's going to be cleared on Wednesday. So good things are on the horizon for the Browns. What are you thinking from here on out for the Browns the rest of the season?
Well, getting Nick Chubb back is definitely huge because he's Nick Chubb. The 1-2 punch with him and Kareem Hunt is a beautiful thing to watch. If Baker somehow tests positive before Wednesday and they have to start Case Keenum, it's fine because someone serviceable with the run first offense will be okay. I really hope to get Wyatt Teller back soon. It wasn't much needed bye week though. We're going to come into a game where we should definitely win, but I'm excited. I mean, we didn't do anything at the trade deadline, which really kind of scares me if they want to make any noise in the playoffs. But might be waiting another year. I don't know what their plan is, but I really thought they would have tried to make a move for safety, but we'll see. We're not going to beat the Chiefs or the Bills or by the Steelers in the playoffs. So, honestly, as a Browns fan, making the playoffs, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I think going into this season, that was the hope, was just playoffs. I don't think there are a lot of Browns fans, from what I see, that always have that Super Bowl mentality, and as every team should. But the AFC North, I mean, me and you discussed going into the season, what is and still is, I think, the toughest division in football.
Oh, it is for sure. I mean, even with the Bengals being the Bengals without an offensive line, without a defense practically, they're still making games interesting. They're really a few offensive linemen away from really making some noise.
Well,
Whichever
and
one just needs protection.
yeah, and we're gonna go into the game preview either tomorrow or later on this week with the Steelers Bengals. But the Bengals are coming off their bye week, and with the Steelers struggles yesterday, I would not be surprised if the Bengals were going to give the Steelers trouble, and because Joe Burrow is the real deal. He's in the top 5, if I'm not mistaken, for passing yard leaders for quarterbacks. He is everything as advertised. He just definitely needs that offensive line, I think.
Yeah, I texted a good friend of mine who's a Bengals fan, Gage. I said I think that the Bengals have a real shot of beating the Steelers. I mean, the Steelers have kind of been caught sleeping. I wouldn't say so much of the Ravens, but I mean, it was still a pretty close game. And last week with the Cowboys starting Garrett Gilbert, who was a practice squad quarterback, um, coming down to that last drive, which I really thought they were going to pull something out too. Um, it'll be interesting. I mean, it depends on if the line wants to block or not for the Bengals, but the line's not that good, and they know that. So, I mean, it's just hard to tell what's going to happen.
Yeah, you just touched on the Steelers Cowboys game, so I mean, let's just get right into it. Going into it, a lot of people were just check marking the win column for the Steelers, and I even mentioned to you and a couple other friends, I would not, be surprised if the Cowboys gave the Steelers trouble because going past a couple seasons, Mike Tomlin's teams against these kinds of quarterbacks and teams, they typically play down to their competition,
Mm-hmm.
and it definitely happened yesterday. The defense just looked a little lackluster to start off, and I don't know if that's because they didn't have much tape on Garrett Gilbert or they just I don't know, but a lot of the play calling, especially to begin the game for the Steelers on the offensive side of the football, it didn't look good.
No.
I don't know what you saw of the game, but it just, as a Steelers fan, it wasn't pretty.
I see a lot of complaints. I was at work, so I didn't get to watch much. Um, the one thing that I really scratched my head about, but then again, I kind of was like, makes sense. Um, that last drive where they ran for it on 4th and 1 instead of kicking it. I mean, they had the best defense in the league, even without Devin Bush in there. And why not put the pressure in the rookie's hands and see what he can do? You know what I mean? He's not a rookie. I don't know why they say he was a rookie, but
I mean, it was his first start, so I mean,
yeah. So
yeah, he's been
uh,
around the league, but I mean, for a quarterback to have his first start, it's pretty much a rookie.
I I was really kind of shocked, and then I was like, why not give him a challenge? I mean, you're 8-0. I mean, if you lose, the fan base is going to go nuts. But like, it's going to take a miracle to get all the way down there and score on the defense that the Steelers have. And I think that's kind of what they did. I was on Twitter. I think it was the old 2-9er was tweeting about um, they how it was a dumb call, and even I stood up for the Steelers defense, which I don't do at all because I hate the Steelers. But they're the best defense in the league. So what was I mean, besides putting 1-1 in the column, what was really your risk there?
Yeah, and there was a little. I mean, all sides of the football for the Steelers were just it wasn't good, and especially Chris Boswell having a missed extra point and a couple missed field goals. He had that one before halftime. Thankfully, I mean, it's one of the rare times you say it. Thankfully, but there was a false start for the Steelers, which
Mm-hmm.
actually pushed him back to 59 yards, and he nailed it. That could have been good from probably 70 yards if he really. I mean, it was a bomb of a kick right down the middle. So he redeemed himself, but there were the scares of the game, and especially with Ben Roethlisberger. And this has been the history of the Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger with these hits he takes as the quarterback and
Mm-hmm.
these injuries. But when I saw Mason Rudolph in there, I was scared. It was just a flashback to last season, and I was like, here we go again. We're probably gonna go 8-8 if Mason Rudolph stays in, but um,
With
yeah,
Ben getting older, the hits are definitely going to be taking more of a toll. But I mean, they'll crank enough painkillers into him and make sure he's good to go. You know what I mean?
I think this stage of his career, especially having that elbow injury, I think a bump and a bruise. Obviously, that knee injury that I had yesterday was a little more than a bruise, but
Mm-hmm.
I think he sees this season as his real shot at the Super Bowl and his only shot at the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And he is going to take these hits, even if, as long as he can stand up, and throw, he's going to stay in there.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was just before the podcast, I was watching Ian Rappaport and the Pat McAfee show. And uh, Ian Rappaport was like, in his 10 years of covering injuries and all that for Ben Roethlisberger, you can never guess you know, what's actually bothering him. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll have to see these next couple of weeks to see if that knee injury actually bothers him. But
Yeah, because who they play this week?
they play the Bengals.
Bengals, not really a big defense to worry about. They play the Jaguars, which next week they kind of have a all right defense. So I mean, he'll have some time, I guess I would say, to heal up on it. But these are two games, as you said, playing out of their competition where you really kind of got to watch it. You know what I mean? Because
I hate saying this, but I feel like I hope it was this game, this Cowboys game that did it, but it's probably going to take one wake up game where they lose to a team like the Cowboys, which they almost did, but it could happen against the Bengals or the Jaguars, and it says, hey, we're not invincible, and this is we need to step up our game, because there have been a couple games this year for the Steelers that have just been pretty scary, and but you can't. Here we are 8-0, and I'm complaining. So,
well, I mean, I'm sitting here looking at the schedule, and they play the Bengals, the Jags, the
Ravens Sunday night for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Then
huge game.
They play Washington. They play the Bills after that, and then they play.
They got the Colts coming up too.
They play the Bengals. They play the Colts, and then I think they play the Browns again.
Yeah, that's their last game of the season.
So I mean, the Bills and the Ravens are definitely the two games that are going to be really good games.
Yeah, the ones I'm worried about is obviously Bills, Ravens, and then Colts. Because the Colts defense, I feel, is one of the most underrated in the NFL when healthy.
You kind of got to watch out for Washington too, because I mean, I don't know who to start at quarterback, but I mean, Terry McLaurin is really kind of evolving as a really number one receiver. Yesterday, he put up really good. I think he had one or two touchdowns. He had two touchdowns. No, he had one touchdown for 115 yards. And he's got a really good attitude. And, they Chase Young over there on the defensive side, they got a pretty, I would say, average defense, but they're still playmakers on that side. So, I mean,
yeah.
I'm more worried about their defense than Dallas's. I think their defense is better than Dallas's right now just because of all the injuries. But, I mean, it's just these few sleeper games, The Browns are going to have to come in and play off their bye week because, a lot of the fans are like, it's a gimme game. But, I mean, these are the games where it's a trap game. I mean, you gotta be aware of what's going on, the circumstances and everything else.
So since you just mentioned the Washington football team, we're going to quickly just cover all these games that happened yesterday.
Okay.
We can go. The first game was obviously the Washington, but we're going to go throw it back to Thursday night with the Green Bay Packers and the 49ers quickly. That was just, I'm not the biggest Aaron Rodgers fan, and you know this, and I don't think you are either. No. But gotta give credit when credit's due. He had a heck of a game. 49ers, I didn't, even though they made the Super Bowl last year, I'm not sold on the 49ers. I think that offense is with, they didn't have Garoppolo, but even with Garoppolo, I do not like this football team.
They're a very average offense with a very good defense, and the defense is healthy. The Packers, I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan at all. But Devontae Adams is a top 3 wide receiver in the league. I think he's turning into one of his own right now, and I think that's part of the reason why the Packers are winning games still. The defense on the Packers side, that's what's going to be their downfall because they're not going to be able to make a run at the Super Bowl. That defense, it's not that good.
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and say it that I think from this season alone, I think Devontae Adams is the best wide receiver in football, just from this season.
I think it's him and Hopkins, and I want to say Mike Evans, but Mike Evans has been mad this year. But we'll get to the Buccaneers because that's a whole other topic. Stay on track.
Yeah, but I'm just saying from this season. I'm not going to say overall career or overall player.
He's having the best season out of everyone else
for sure. And I think he if you were to take any wide receiver from any team right now, I'd take Devontae Adams. So. All right, so we're gonna go forward now to yesterday, Sunday, with the Giants just barely winning against the Washington football team. I'm not going to talk a lot about this because it's a bad division, and
it's the tank division.
Both of these teams were just they're not good. Jabril Peppers, though, I did watch a little bit of it. Jabril Peppers had a heck of a game. Unfortunate injury to the
Kyle Allen.
Kyle Allen, correct. It was good to see Alex Smith back out there, but he had an interception or two, I think. Um, but yeah, the Washington football team is just, other than their defensive line, which I love, there's nothing really spectacular about this team.
No, but Ron Rivera is the team, the coach to get it done. You know what I mean?
That's true.
A lot of work there, and he's definitely one of the guys in the league I would definitely want building that team. You know.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and just because we gotta keep going with these.
Yes,
Chicago Bears lost to the Tennessee Titans 24-17. Derrick Henry was kind of quiet this game, and this was a game that not a lot of people really paid attention to. I didn't myself. I don't know if you did, but
I know AJ Brown had a heck of a catch for a touchdown.
yeah, he was looking really good. He was the star of that game.
He looks good every game. They needed to get back in the win column because they dropped 2 in a row, right? Because they lost and the Bengals.
Yes.
The Bears, you don't know what kind of Bears team you're going to get one week. You might get a team that's going to win games. You might get a team that's going to compete, and you might get a team that's just going to look flat. I mean, they're the most inconsistent team in the league, but they're in the thick of things. So, I mean,
yeah, those are both teams we need to keep an eye on moving forward because these are definitely, even at the Bears being 5-4, I think, if they play good football down here in this last stretch of games, I think they can make the playoffs.
And we're over the halfway point, which is really crazy to think about.
Yeah, it is because it's just at the beginning of the season, it was, were we even going to have a season,
Yeah.
So, but shout out to the NFL for, with their tests and everything. I mean, they've done a terrific job, even with not having a bubble. But
yeah, without having a bubble and being this consistent and doing such a good job, which I'm very surprised with. It's nice to see.
So next game, Vikings. We got division rivals here with the Vikings and Lions. Vikings win 34-20. Dalvin Cook he is.
Dalvin Cook won 34-20. The Vikings were just there.
Well, it was funny watching it unfold. I mean, to have Dalvin Cook ball out like that, and then you have Adrian Peterson on the Lions bench just watching that. I mean, that's just kind of surreal. Unfortunate, though. It was kind of interesting. Matthew Stafford got hit. Looked like he had a concussion, but he looked good to go. But the ref said he had to go follow concussion protocol. I'm not sure his status right now, but that's something to keep an eye on moving forward. He did clear. Okay, so yes, he did clear the NFL's concussion protocol on Sunday. So Matthew Stafford, good to go. Lions are always an interesting team, so we'll just leave it.
They're always going to be competitive. I mean, he's a really good quarterback. He just doesn't get a lot of love. So
that's true. So the biggest game of the 1:00 games, I thought, was the Panthers and Chiefs. Chiefs barely win this one, 33-31. It was great to see McCaffrey ball out like he did, returning from his injury, but from the looks of it, he injured his shoulder.
It just came out a few minutes ago from My Sports Update, the NFL update guy. He is day-to-day with a shoulder injury, so they'll know more on Wednesday.
That is tough because I think you saw it there. I mean, I don't know if it was the Chiefs like in the Steelers scenario where they were playing down to their opponent, but Panthers with McCaffrey, they are a good team, I think. Moving forward, though, I think the Panthers need a little more help on defense.
Yeah, and I think Teddy B is honestly the right guy for this job. I was not really happy with that signing. I didn't think it was a good signing, and then he's looking good, man. I mean, it's crazy to think about. I mean, he's been this is his third team after having that terrible ACL injury. It's good though to see it. I think he's looking better and better every week,
Yeah, but they did lose that game. Chiefs go on to 8-1. I think they're still the team to beat, even though the Steelers are 8-0. Definitely got to keep an eye on the Chiefs, though. They're still a threat. It's just one of those games.
It's kind of how they were last year. They were kind of, just kind of getting by, and then they turned it on. So
yeah,
and the skills there.
Yep. All right. So, and then one of the games I thought was very entertaining was the Texans and Jaguars. Texans won this game 27-25, but the rookie quarterback, sixth round quarterback out of Oregon State, Jake Luton, um, out of I said Oregon State, and he looked awesome. He had a run at the end of the game that he had against the Jaguars, scored a touchdown, but they missed the 2-point conversion. But if he made that 2-point conversion, I think that would have been the highlight of the day in all the games. But Texans barely edging the Jaguars. There's not really much to talk about with these two teams because Texans are 2-6, Jaguars are 1-7. It was still an entertaining game, but we gotta keep moving though. Ravens Colts. I don't know if you watched that game, but the Colts defense looked all right, but Philip Rivers.
I think the thing is Philip Rivers is holding him back.
Me and you've talked about that before. Do we almost feel like he did that with the Chargers too.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good serviceable quarterback, but he's just not the guy to be leading the team right now. I think that he lost that game against the Browns for him. I mean, the Browns shouldn't have won that game, but he lost that game against the Browns, and he just isn't looking very well, and he talks a lot. He talks a lot of smack for really not achieving much in his career besides winning games.
I love seeing an aggressive quarterback like him, but it doesn't look good when you're not winning. So,
yeah.
But the Colts are a team to look out for later on in the season. I think they're 5-3. Ravens, this was a bounce back game for them. Lamar had a decent game, but he's having a rough season this season. But
kind of what we all kind of expected, I think.
I think it's still early. It's the halfway point, so I can't really say early, but I think he's going to turn it on and play some good football down here in the stretch. So, the biggest game I think of not the early games, but like during the day games was the Seahawks Bills. Josh Allen just looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He was playing great football. Russell Wilson looked like he was having some trouble, but both defenses were not having a great time.
No, the Bills. Josh Allen just looks that good, though.
I think he's that guy. He is that guy for the Bills. There should be no question with him being the future quarterback for the Bills.
I agree.
I think he's going to be there for years to come. And for the Seahawks, I almost looked at them as pretenders because they've been facing NFC teams. They struggled against the Patriots with Cam Newton, and here we are looking at the Patriots, and they're not that good. So I don't know if it's just the NFC is not as competitive as the AFC, but the Bills gave a run for their money, and I think the Bills are a good threat. They're going to be a playoff team, I think. So
100%.
Then I really don't want to even talk about it because both these teams are pretty trash, I think. Sorry to the fans out there, but the Falcons and Broncos, that was it was a weird game. For sports betting, it's hard to bet on the Falcons because you don't know what you're going to expect out of them. So I don't want to talk much about it because it wasn't that good of a game, honestly. It came down to the final seconds, but it really –
the Falcons blew the lead.
Yeah. Raiders, Chargers, Justin Herbert. My bad. He looked all right, but the Raiders just have one of those games where it's really good and really bad,
The Chargers have this knack of not being able to finish it off or to pull off the win. They've lost a lot of close games this year, and I think Justin Herbert is a really good quarterback. It's just the matter of getting everything to blend together and come out of the win. So
All right, really quickly here because we got two more games, and then we want to discuss the Monday night game tonight. We already talked about the Steelers and Cowboys. Yeah. Dolphins, Cardinals. Dolphins win this one 34-31, my mistake. Tua, I think this is the quarterback of the future for the Miami Dolphins. I was a little skeptical about their decision of benching Ryan Fitzpatrick for Tua, but the Tua versus Kyler Murray, everything as advertised. Kyler Murray looks like a great quarterback.
mhm.
What did you see out of that game?
I'm surprised Dolphins won it, but they're right there in 5-3 in the thick of things as well. I mean, the AFC, that playoff race is going to be tight. It's going to be fun to watch. I was surprised they won it. Kyler Murray, I think, is top 10 quarterback, to be honest with you. And I was on the fence about Tua and all that. And it's still just a second game, but I mean, it was a really good win, for a Dolphins team that doesn't have a whole lot of weapons on paper. So,
Hey, for Tua to go on the road to Arizona, where Arizona is having a pretty good season. Kyler Murray is playing some great football right now.
mhm.
I think Tua led that. I wouldn't say he led that team because it was a great team effort all around for the Dolphins. They're playing some great football right now. At 5-3, I don't know if they can make the playoffs, especially in the AFC, and with the Bills being 7-2 right now.
Mm.
But that's a discussion for another day. And the Sunday night game, this was advertised as the two Hall of Famers, two of the greatest to ever do it. It didn't turn that way. The Saints destroy the Buccaneers 38-3. This was Antonio Brown's first game as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Didn't go like they wanted it to, and Tom Brady he threw three interceptions, and it didn't look like they could get anything going that whole game.
They've got to figure out what kind of team they are because they are very inconsistent. 1 week they are fine, the next 2 weeks they are terrible. But they got to figure out what kind of team they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I said it to our friend Johnny, who's a Bengals fan, but we were watching it last night, and I said this Buccaneers team because he has Mike Evans on his fantasy team, but
Hmm.
I think there's too many weapons, And there was one play where Brady threw the interception. Antonio Brown ran the wrong route, and I think they're starting to force the ball places that they shouldn't be. And Tom Brady, at this stage of his career, should not be forcing passes.
No.
I think he should. Um, he's not making the smart decisions like he once was. This was easily one of his worst games of his entire career.
Yeah, I
Um,
think that Antonio Brown might not know the entire playbook yet, though. I think he should have taken one more week to really kind of get in the groove of things. But
but they were saying because Bruce Arians was his offensive coordinator at one point with the Steelers
mhm.
that should be an easy transition for Antonio Brown. Clearly not the case, and I'm not bought into this Buccaneers team.
No.
And I thought the defense was the highlight really going into the season. They signed all those offensive players, but their defense I thought was as good as most in the whole entire NFL. Um, but they just let 38 points against the Saints.
Hmm.
So Saints, I think they're gonna probably end up winning their division, but it'll be tough going down this stretch.
Be
So
interesting to see how Tom Brady bounces back.
yeah, who do they play next?
They are they on a bye?
Let me check real quick.
They play the Panthers.
Panthers. Okay, so another division game. And the Panthers playing good. So if they have Christian McCaffrey, you said he's week to week though, or day to day.
He's day to day. They'll know more about Wednesday.
Yeah, if the Panthers are smart, they probably won't play him. But
Yeah.
so that wraps up all those games from Sunday and last Thursday. Heck of a week. We just ran through a lot in this podcast, but the Monday night game. Usually, these two teams, it's one sided, but you really don't know. It's the New England Patriots visiting the New York Jets. New York Jets are still looking for that first win. They are god awful, but this Patriots team is not playing great football either right now.
Nope. Um, It'll be interesting. Is Joe Flacco starting for the Jets or is Sam Darnold?
I am not completely sure, but
Because I thought Sam Darnold was hurt. I'm not sure. I
uh,
think the Jets have a realistic chance of going 0-16. To be honest with you,
yeah, this is one of those games, I think if they can win it, they'll win it. But if they don't, then they are going 0-16 because they don't have many opportunities left to not go 0-16. I don't know who they face week 17, but usually those week 17 games, for an 0-15 team, they're their last chance, and usually the other team's sitting players. So
well, I'll tell you, they play the Patriots again, so Patriots are going to play everybody.
yeah, I'd love to see the Jets win, but I'm going to take the Patriots tonight.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right, so that's going to wrap up our second episode of this podcast. If you haven't checked it out, I was on Locked On Penguins. Hunter Hodes, who hosts over there, gave me a nice shout out for the podcast for us over here. We're going to have him on as a guest here coming up soon when it approaches hockey season. So thank you, Hunter, if you're listening. We really appreciate it. We appreciate all you guys' support through YouTube, Twitter. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, notification bell. It means a lot so you can stay up to date when we do release episodes. Garrett, do you have anything else to say?
No, I think you just said it all right there. I mean, I thought we had a pretty good turnout for the first, episode.
Yeah, we really appreciate that.
I was shocked. I appreciate it. I had some friends that I haven't talked to in a long time text me and say that they listened to it, and I was really happy to see that. So keep coming back because we're going to be here.
We do apologize though. We've both had some very just schedule conflicts, but we're going to get consistent here. We're going to make this a mainstay in your podcast library. Hopefully tomorrow we're going to record. Follow us on Twitter just for an update, but I'm hoping to have Jimmy Leonard from the It's Jimmy Leonard podcast come on, and we're going to talk probably some baseball and some basketball. So
we're going to settle this GOAT debate.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, we'll save that for tomorrow. All right. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys soon.